Hey guys, I'm Shawn from PKGD Group. We're here at El Pandillo. I'm going to take you on a tour of how Felipe is making G4 Tequila. You can see there's evidence here of this being very, very ripe agave. So some of the things that you look for, if you're like see the red color and the way that it's almost rotting, but it's almost fermenting in the field. So it's so ripe that it's turning red. It's starting to degrade, if you will, right in the field. So those are signs of very, very ripe agave. Another aspect that's important here, the agave is ripe, and you can see the amount of the green stuff, the pinca we call, that's left outside here. And there is sugar there, but not nearly as much as the inside. But there's flavor here, right? There's character of vegetal notes, mineral notes, some like herbal flavors that are present in G4, and they come from this. So the tequilero will ask of the jimadores how much they want the cut, and this would be called mediano, or sometimes they call it like tres dedos, some different term, but it's the same thing. And so some of the mezcals and some of the more rustic brands, they'll leave more green. They call Jima Alta. And some of the sort of more sophisticated clean palates, hey wait. But this is the base flavor of G4. Really any really awesome authentic tequila, but this is the base flavor. This experience right now, gratefully I've had many times, but when somebody is new and they're a tequila drinker and they come here for the first time and they're like, everybody's been telling me this tastes like cooked agave, right? They say, well, authentic tequila tastes like cooked agave, but until you have this experience, you don't really know. So Felipestein and Igor, right? So this is Igor, and this is every distillery has a shredder, but as with everything else, Felipe he did customize this to his own accord. It's not running right now, but one of the things you'll notice when it is running is it just chews up the piña without like bogging down. It says usually you'll hear him and it just goes. I don't know what he did inside, but he customized it to his own specifications. So you can see how Igor is working now, right? Shredding the agave that we were just tasting, and we'll lay it out by the guys, and then they will, in a few minutes, they'll turn on the tahona and the water. Generally takes a team like these guys a shift, like an 8-hour shift, to make one load. So this is so much more efficient. And for the guys now, obviously, they just get to wait, and they'll kind of scoop this around now and then and keep it circulating and make sure they get, really even extraction. But for everybody involved, I think it's efficient and easy. So they are using a yeast that they're propagating. It's a yeast from agave, and it's a yeast of the Camarena family. And it's something that the Camarena family has maintained for generations. They just keep replicating it. When when the molienda is done, when the Felipestein is done with his job, it goes by gravity to that tank you see down there on the right, and that from that tank they'll pump up into these tanks and then add some of the mother yeast. Without tasting, it looks to me like this one's just starting, but probably if we come down the line, we'll probably find different states of fermentation. Felipe wanted to also do fermentation with the fibers included in the mosto. And so as an experiment, that's very hard to do, because when you put the fibers in these tanks, frankly, it just makes a big mess. Like they get all gummed up in the plumbing, and they make a big mess, and they're really, really hard to work with. So he designed these tanks with this screen system so that he can allow fermentation with the fibers, and then slide the screen over to one side to try to capture and separate the fibers from the mosto, and then pump out from this side, so you get as little of the fiber in the mosto that's going to the still as possible, but you get the flavor profile of the fermentation with the fiber. A very tall, like, cap design, right? And it's almost like a Scotch whiskey still. Actually, it's not a shape that you see a lot in tequila, but it's one that Felipe likes the design, the way that it works. So I'm going to take you to the other side for the bottling and all that stuff, and I can take you to the barrel, the new cava. So you see the machine at the other end of the clean room is tamping down all the toppers. So she seats the toppers. After the machine fills it, they seat the toppers, they put them on the other side, and then this machine smashes down the topper. She adds the seal, and then it rolls through the labeling machine. So now they're able to store dry goods here that are immediately ready for production. And then there's an additional warehouse that was outside over past the ponds on the other side, which is all the dry goods. So when Felipe says, I have 1 million toppers and 1 million bottles, and that's over there. And then as the things are moving into the scale of production, they have a PO from PKGD Group, they're coming into production, they'll bring them down here and stage them, and then go into the bottling. And then the finished goods come out here, and you'll see PKGD Group, Reposado, lot 44, ready to go. So these are the original barrels of El Pandillo. That's Tennessee whiskey. So like a bourbon barrel, but Tennessee whiskey barrel. And these have been here for forever. And they just get used over and over and over and over again. So they will, when they'll drain this, they'll use a siphon to drain it, and they'll fill it with a hose. They won't move the barrel, they won't turn the barrel, they won't shuffle the stock, or anything. They just sit down here. And then this is the new cava and tasting room and store. So these are entirely new to El Pandillo, mostly used bourbon barrels. These are the primary barrels for G4 right now. These were single-use Jack Daniel's barrels. So that is dramatically heavier char inside the barrel, and imparts dramatically more color, more sweetness, and more vanilla notes than what G4 Reposados or Añejos traditionally had. So the G4 Reposados and Añejos that we have now are coming from the tequila from the roller mill, which is a little bit sweeter, and they're coming into these new comparatively massively newer barrels, and it's just much sweeter, much more vanilla notes, very different flavor profile. And you can see where Felipe has also acquired some cognac barrels, some sherry casks, and some different types of barrels. So you can see here they're having to pump tequila over to these tanks from the distillery and then pump them in to fill the barrels, right? There's a significant idea among tequila aficionados that if you're making more, you must be making it worse. And I can absolutely guarantee you that that's not the case. And the interesting thing is, and maybe you would know this from other aspects of your life, but in that time where they were occasionally running some parts of production and there were only a few people and those few people did everything, there was a lot of variations in the product, actually. And today, where all aspects of production are running 2 shifts per day, they're in teams, they're specialized, right? We talked to Aureliano. What does Aureliano do? He doesn't load the oven. He runs distillation. Right. So he's running distillation all day, every day, 6 days a week, right? And he's really freaking good at it. Mm-hmm. And the guys that are running the oven are really good at it. They're skilled. They're practiced. They're skilled. They're efficient.
They're mastering their.
Yeah, they're efficient. They're effective. And so the reality is the quality is actually better today than it was, even though there's more, and even though people for some reason assume that must mean reduction of standards or something of that nature. The process is exactly the same. The fermentation tanks are bigger, right? And there's a lot more of them. The first stills are bigger, and there's 3, not 1, right?
Okay.
But the process is exactly the same. But the biggest thing I think is the specialization and the practice and the reps, right? If you've ever done anything, any kind of sport, anything, you got to do reps, right? And you get better. And the guys that are doing the jobs are better at their jobs. They're more skillful at their jobs. So the whole process is just more efficient and more effective. And that's how we're able to increase the production like we have with no change in quality. It's awesome.